Harvard Divinity School.
Uses and abuses of power in alternative spiritualities. Implications for spiritual care of patients and communities. April 29th, 2023.
Thank you very much. It's great pleasure to present my work. I extend greetings from India, from University of Delhi. My paper is based on integrating the spiritual inputs into management practices. My paper is entitled Uses of Power, Individual Consciousness for Collective Consciousness. I start with a prayer. Om Astoma Sadgamaya Tam Soma Jyotirgamaya Mrityurma Mritam Gambaya Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Lead us from the unreal to the real. Lead us from darkness to light. Lead us from death to immortality. Om, peace, peace, peace. As you must have seen the abstract of my paper, it is based on my 3 decades of research on power relationship in organizations. The present paper focuses on conceptualizing the uses of power by training the mind to control the senses to realize the soul's true purpose. The spectrum of this training of the mind is from evolution to involution. Love is the eternal source of joy, and truth is the eternal source of wisdom. Organizations today need to create a culture of love and truth for wellness and happiness at the workplace so that people flourish together by helping and nurturing each other. The present paper draws insights from the teachings of Sri Ramakrishna. 30 years of research journey coupled with 20 years of spiritual journey. I'll be presenting my work in 3 different parts. First part, when I started my initial research on uses of social power, which I continued in different settings from 1984 to 2000, where the common theme was power hierarchies in organizations. Yesterday, Zeph, while doing his presentation, he mentioned how the power hierarchy incorporates and power hierarchy in a spiritual organization function the same way. The second part of my work, later the 2 independent studies titled The Brighter Aspect of Conflict, that was published in 1998, and Psychophysical Implications of Uses of Power, published in 2001, broadened my horizons to a new research area. My focus now shifted to the positive side of power relationship, which was healthier and growth-oriented in its approach. The third part of my paper, when in 2001, my article, Management of Power, Ascent from Self to Self, was published. And by now, the mirror was turned inward. In 2007, I first wrote an article on towards integrative human framework for organizations, exploring how can we have a human framework of leadership in the workplace that binds all irrespective of what their personal beliefs and perceptions are. In 2007, I was awarded Distinct Homi Bhava Fellowship for my research proposal on developing intrapsychic health, insights from world religion, where I tried to dive deep into the scriptures, Bible, Quran, Upanishads, and Guru Granth Sahib. Apart from these, efforts were also made to understand the intrapsychic health as taught in Buddhism, Jainism, Zennism, and Zoroastrianism. The assumption of the study was the paths may be different, but the goal is same, realizing the inner nature of human being. I used a participative observation method where I attended the prayers in church, dargah, Gurudwara, Jain and Buddhist temple, and Hindu temple. I realized that the way people across various faith traditions connect with divine is same across different faith traditions. So this spirit of connecting with divine and its consciousness subsequently became the focal point of my conceptualization of spirit-centric approach for leadership and management. I also corroborated it with organizational leadership as practiced in monasteries. In 2007 only, I started research and international conferences on integrating spirituality and organizational leadership, drawing insights from various wisdom traditions. Jotamot Totopoth, as many views, so many paths, says Sri Ramakrishna. And that was the first call for interfaith approach to understand the application of religion for societal and human development. Rigveda says, Ekam Satya Vipra Bahuda Vadanti. Truth is one. Scholars give it different names. So this oneness is the essence of my people. He is the doer, I'm an instrument. This model was proposed in my paper towards an integrative human framework for organizations, published in 2007. Further, human framework for organizations, efforts were made to seek answers. How can we align and engage each and every employee to work towards a common goal with same enthusiasm and effort? How can we dig deep into human consciousness and find the common meaning and purpose that puts human advancement and mutual growth at the forefront? The challenge is to focus on pure human consciousness and find the elements that make us human and bring us together as a collective force. So it led to the paradigm shift on conceptualizing uses of power based on service and renunciation. As a scholar of the practice of meditation for more than 2 decades, understanding the evolution of self, I brought the concept and ethos in my various elective courses for MBA students at Faculty of Management Studies, University of Delhi, both full-time and executive MBA and doctoral students. Understanding the uses of power, I took the stand that we can understand it through reflecting within. In my research, I focus on self-inquiry and the 4 Mahavakyas. Prajanam Brahma, consciousness is Brahma. I am Atma Brahma, this self is Brahman. I am Brahma Asmi, I'm Brahman, I'm divine. Tattvamasi, thou art that, you are the one. So This oneness and divinity within oneself became the focus of my conceptualization. As a result, for more than 1 decade, have been working on transcending mind, high forces of consciousness in leadership and management. When leaders and organizations from a deep awareness of their consciousness, they naturally behave responsibly beyond what appears to be their own self-interest. The managers or administrators who integrate spiritual values with their managerial or work styles while dealing with different stakeholders bring integrity to organizations. Based on my more than 2 decades of study in the area of integrating spirituality and organizational leadership, I gave a definition of spirituality at the workplace as it is the awakened consciousness of one's roles and responsibilities to connect with different stakeholders with compassion and love in order to serve the organization and focus on purpose and honesty in expression. So the true purpose of soul is bliss. Sri Ramakrishna said, I would rather acquire that wisdom which will illumine my heart and give me satisfaction forever, when he denied learning subtraction at last school in Kamarpukur in West Bengal in order to earn a livelihood. This one sentence captures the essence of focus of Upanishad, Advaita Vedanta, and Ashtavakra, where the focus is to create a pure self to attain the state of bliss and see the bliss in all. Individual consciousness for collective consciousness. I have taken insights from the teachings of Sri Ramakrishna, Shiva Jnane Jiva Seva, selfless work as dedication to God. He taught his disciple, Jiva Daya, Shiva Jnane Jiva Seva, not kindness to living beings, but serving the living being as Shiva himself, as God himself. And according to scholars, Swami Vivekananda derived his inspiration from this message and took the initiative for social acts. Where should you go to seek God? Are not all the poor, the miserable, the weak God? Why not serve them first? The spirit of Sri Ramakrishna, Shiva Jnane Jiva Seva, was carried forward by Swami Vivekananda, Atmano Mokshartham Jagat Hitaya, for the salvation of our individual self and the well-being on the earth, is a shloka of the Rig Veda. This is the individual consciousness for collective consciousness. How to attain it? Training the mind for higher consciousness, oneness. This is what I'll be focusing. In my compendium, 9-volume compendium on Vedic foundation of Indian management, I propose this striving for integral consciousness, a 3-level process. First is ekagrata, concentration through control of senses and mind. When that is achieved, it leads to experience of cosmic consciousness, oneness, and that leads to Devatma Shakti, that seeing divinity in all, and practice of moral order. The ethos, the best example of the integration of Ek Atmanubhuti for Devatma Shakti is propounded by Sri Ramakrishna. Sri Ramakrishna's proclamation of Jatra Jeev Tatra Shiv, wherever there is a living being, there is Shiva, God, stemmed from his Advaitic perception of Jnana. Serve humanity is what he emphasized. Through my researches, I tried to focus on creating virtue-based power relationships. Purity of thought leads to purity of action. The series of research aimed towards establishing a connection and finding out how the control of the mind and senses leads to the complete absorption of individual in the workplace. An effort has been made to find out ways through which the source of motivation for an individual could be internalized so that he or she becomes in charge and control their levels of engagement. In such a situation, stimuli and temptation no longer affect the mind. Both studies supported the fact that internal virtues are very important for employee engagement, collective pride, and workplace harmony. Love and truth, new wave in organizational development. Through my research, I'm promoting this love and truth as a new wave in organizational development. Love is the eternal source of joy, and truth is the eternal source of wisdom. Organizations today need to create a culture of love and truth for wellness and happiness at the workplace so that people flourish together by helping and nurturing each other. Sri Ramakrishna, the greatest spiritual master of the 18th century in India, said to serve humanity as worshipping God. My conceptualizations are based on higher possibilities of human nature that encompass the fundamental human values to transcend the mind to the level of service and purpose-driven approach to work. I draw some insights from Bhagavad Gita, Principles of a Healthy Organization. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3, verse 11. Parasparam bhavyanta shreya param avapasya. Parasparam bhavyanta, nourishing each other. Shreya param avapasya. All will rise to the highest level by helping and serving others, not by fighting. Keeping others over oneself. Bhunjite te vagam papa e pachantyatma karnat. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3, verse 13. Who cook food for their own enjoyment, verily eat only sin. Tena tyaktina bhunjita, enjoy life through renunciation. So based on this, I put forth two fundamental principles, renunciation and service. We need to distinguish between human needs and human wants. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3, verse 16. Evam pravariti tam chakram nanu vartayaritiha yaha agayu indriyarmo mogham partha sa jivati. O Parth, those who do not accept their responsibility in the cycle of sacrifice established by the Vedas are sinful. They live only for the delight of their senses. Indeed, their lives are in vain. Again, referring to Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, verse 45 to 49. Swaswa karmani abhirata samsiddhim labhate nara. Swakarma nirataha siddhim yatha vindati tach shrino, meaning thereby by fulfilling their duties, born of their innate qualities, human beings can attain perfection. Now hear from me how one can become perfect by discharging one's prescribed duties. Thus, the highest perfection in work is attained by one whose reason is unfettered, intellect unattached and free, who has conquered himself and his forsaken desires. Asakti buddhi jitatma and vigata spreha. Human deficit at the workplace, the unheard voice, the present scenario which marks human deficit at the workplace. In 1994, in one of my articles, I write, and I quote from there, when the positive characters of the people in the organization are overlooked or denied, then the resultant behavior is likely to be job alienation, and involvement in non-work activities, because they start having the feeling that the organization will not help in their career advancement or personal growth. Gradually, they develop cynicism towards the organization and a biased view towards the management. Eric Mosley, co-founder and CEO of Global Force, write, a more human workplace is the key to the future of work. Therefore, organizations need to focus on keeping their employees happy and feeling recognized, particularly those employees who could be considered flight risk. In my upcoming Academy of Management 2023 conference, my symposium proposal is on empowering diverse workers through conscious leadership is accepted for all academic tracks. Happy to share it. Based on my research, I provide this how do we move from attached self, I-centric behavior of power relationship towards higher end where I'm non-attached. So when I'm attached, I'm this body, I is important. And when I serve, move forward, then I realize he is the doer, I'm an instrument. So from attached self to unattached self, it is here when we do this transcendence, we experience bliss, the optimal experience. Both these models are developed through my research and by the scholar. So when we are high on truthfulness, dedication, and steadfastness, and we are low on the pure consciousness, then we perceive, we live in a mental state of bondage that I am doing, I'm I-centric behavior. And when I'm able to transcend my mind, transcendence of self from lower self to supreme self, he is the doer, I'm an instrument. I move towards pure consciousness, and that is unattached self, which is the focus of my presentation. Concludingly, I say the shift from an attached self, I-centric power relationship to an unattached self will develop integral consciousness for cosmic consciousness. This requires practicing renunciation of selfish desires and promoting service by helping and serving others. Such uses of power will create a blissful experience based on higher forces of consciousness. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Let the noble thoughts come from all directions.
Sponsored by the Program for the Evolution of Spirituality.
Copyright 2023, President and Fellows of Harvard College.